We're telling your followers that you're Lord. Lavato, lavato, cielas, levanta, cielaba.
No conception of what constitutes national security. That, as journalist Bob Woodward revealed in his book that Trump told him about a classified nuclear weapons system. Biden sat down with Jake Tapper in an exclusive interview. Here's more. One other revelation from the book is that Trump appears to have revealed
Lavato, lavato, cielas, levanta, cielaba. Alevini, lavato, lavato, cielaba.
He said, quote, I have built a nuclear weapon system that nobody's ever had in this country before, unquote. Woodward says his sources confirm the existence
of my favorite things to do is be I-V-E.
Because they don't trust him. They don't trust what he'll say or do. He seems to have
What?
conception.
Okay.
I know it sounds.
You wanna arm wrestle, bitch?
No conception of what constitutes national security. No conception of anything other than what can he do to promote himself. This is the guy who said maybe the way to deal with hurricanes is drop a nuclear bomb on them. I mean, seriously, he said it.
We'll see who outlives who, just to really dead that argument. You'll have a knife too, and I'll have immortality. If you want to argue about stupid shit. And besides that, I'm not going to sit and talk to the television. Because you want to use an argument of validity when there's an indirect game being played, and it's not a direct line. And you want to have an indirect conversation with a direct line, and pretend like the direct line isn't there. And then you want to use that as your argument, saying that it's lunacy to speak indirectly with a direct line when you're conscious of it, and I just became aware of it even being a possibility. And so your whole argument. And what are you trying to say with that? Look, bitch, you believe what you want to believe, because I'm not going to argue with you. You want to bring your people into the conversation, your generation that you have to argue with. I guarantee you got some people who would heavily debate the argument that you're trying to debate against me. So whatever the opposing side of your fucking argument is, I support that. And I'm doing a Bible reading, not self-promotion hip-hop, for the purpose of getting tail campaign. Now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And he said, Hear now, my lords, please turn into your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise early and go on your way. And they said, No, but we will spend the night in the open square. But he insisted strongly, so they turned into him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast, and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now, before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the house, and they called to Lot and said to him, Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, that we may know them carnally. So Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind him, and said, Please, my brethren, do not do so wickedly. See now, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please let me bring them out to you, and you may do to them as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the shadow of my roof. And when he said, Stand back, then they said, This one came in to stay here, and he keeps acting as a judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them. So they pressed hard against the man Lot, and came near to break down the door. But the men reached out their hands, and pulled Lot into the house with them, and shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great, so that they became weary trying to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here, son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and whomever you have in the city? Take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because the outcry against them has grown great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law, who had married his daughters, and said, "Get up, get out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city." But to his sons-in-law he seemed to be joking. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city." And while he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the hands of his 2 daughters, the Lord being merciful to him. And they brought him out and set him outside the city. So it came to pass, when they had brought them outside, that he said, "Escape for your life, do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed." The Taylor Swift thing? You want to hear that story? In 2016, between August and December, I got arrested for no reason except for I live in a fucked up town with a bunch of fucking racist dumbasses. And while I was in jail, I read this book, the Bible, twice. They let me out of jail in December, and I went to my, at the time, girlfriend's house, helped her move from Kaiser to Salem, and as she slept her first night in her new house, I took her car and our dog, and I hit I-5 north to Portland, hung a right on 84 East, and drove to New York City. I left probably February 15th, 2017, and got there March 1st, 2017, and I got arrested in New York City. And while I was in jail, I decided to not speak, and I ended up not saying a single word from my mouth for an entire 40 days. And on day like 38, 39, 40, I had this vision that I was sitting in like this old Victorian style modern deco fucking bedroom, master bedroom with a master bath, and there was this girl sitting at the foot of her bed on the floor playing like Super Mario or something. And in the vision, the girl was my significant other, and I went over to her, and I had these like MMA gloves, these like bright pink MMA gloves, and I was like, "Babe, it's time for us to spar, like this is when we do our little sparring session." And she's ignoring me, and she's sitting on the floor, and she's like just cold shoulder, just playing these video games. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like trying to like teasing her. I'm like, "Babe, come on, let's go, blah blah blah." And then and I'm holding these like bright pink MMA gloves. I'm like kind of like tapping her, like kind of cheeking it a little bit. Lavato, lavato, yelling. And then she goes to, like, ninja kick me, like, in the boy parts. But I, like, moved past that, and I got her into, like, a hold. And I was like, oh my god, did you see my baby? And she's dying laughing. And she was like, something, something, something obscure. And I was like, what? Because Obscure is like a rap name that I used to go by. And I was like, what's my name? And she was like, let me up, I have to pee. And I was like, no, what's my name? And I'm holding her. And she goes, it's Crush. And so I let her up. And she was probably wearing, in the vision, she was wearing like a nightgown. And she got up and she started walking from where we were sitting on the floor of the foot of her bed where she was playing these video games to like a master bathroom. And from where I was sitting, you could see into the bathroom. The light was off and there was like a toilet. And as she's like walking, she had like these angels ascending and descending on her. And they were like crimping her hair and like poking different parts, all this stuff. And she like turned around when she got into the restroom and like sat down to pee. And she was holding hands with two girls. She was holding hands with this girl that I was with, Lindsay, and this girl that I was with, Tiffany. And like Tiffany was on one side and Lindsay was on the other, and they were holding this girl's hands like in the middle. And then she like sat down and she was like peeing, and I was like watching her. And I heard like a really loud voice say, the next bitch that I fuck is gonna be Taylor Swift. And then I heard another voice say really, really loud, you don't always have to take pictures. I live in New York and I'm friends with your sister. And I had a vision immediately afterward of like this house that I was in, and it was my house, and there was like a kitchen counter, and like a sliding glass door, and myself and my significant other were at this house. At this house, because we were watching like a constellation show or like stars or something, like a meteor shower. And I had this like antique vintage camera that I had gotten as a gift, and I'm trying to figure out how to get it to take pictures. And like there's kitchen, sliding glass door, and then 2 steps down, and then like a living room area, and then the backyard like looked over a cliff, and there's like a patio balcony thing. And I'm standing in the kitchen with the sliding doors in front of me, and I'm trying to get this camera to work. And I heard this girl say, you don't always have to take pictures. Come on, you're gonna miss the constellations if you sit here and mess with the camera the whole time. And I like opened the door, and her and I went out to see the stars, and it was like looking over a cliff, and we saw this like ring in the distance, like this green like circle, and it like was coming towards us, and it kept getting like bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then like when it got to us, it went like over us, like this green circle, like it got closer and closer and closer, and then like went over us. And then that was like day 40 of being dead silent. And one of the people that was locked up with me was like, you're gonna be on Ellen, blah blah blah. And I had this vision of this like Taylor Swift's XOXO hubby thing. And so they let me out of jail that July 15th, 2017. I stayed with my uncle for like 2 or 3 days, and then I walked to Orlando, Florida. And when I walked, I took 17 South, and when I got to Virginia, I grabbed a t-shirt from a Dollar General, and it was Sharpie marker, and drew the design on the beach with the Taylor Swift's XOXO hubby, and I probably made like 15 or 20 of them. It doesn't mean anything, though. It was a vision I had for being silent for 40 days after reading this book, and then I flew back here to Oregon, and I'm waiting for my probation to be done in 20 days so I can fucking leave again. I don't want to be here. This place sucks. I don't even want my kids to be here. and you want to have an indirect conversation about security clearances and whether or not CNN isn't in real time, then the phones don't work in real time, and all this shit doesn't work in real time. In real time means that if I take a picture of these 5 $1 bills and I send it to you, a second later, wherever you're at in the world, it's gonna pop up on your phone a picture of that's put in time. It's not gonna wait 3 or 4 overnight business trips. Then I was given a reed like a measuring rod, and the angel stood, saying, "Rise and measure the temple, the altar, and those who worship there, but leave out the court which is outside the temple, and do not measure it, for it has been given to the Gentiles, and they will tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months. And I will give power to my 2 witnesses, and they will prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth." The Sasha thing, Sasha Grey Marina. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands standing before the God of the earth. And if anyone wants to harm them, fire proceeds from their mouth and devours their enemies. And if anyone wants to harm them, he must be killed in this manner. These have power to shut heaven, so that no rain falls in the days of their prophecy, and they have power over the waters to turn them to blood and to strike the earth with all plagues as often as they desire. When they finish their testimony, the beast that ascends out of the bottomless pit will make war against them, overcome them, and kill them, and their dead bodies will lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. Then those from the peoples, tribes, tongues, and nations will see their dead bodies 3.5 days, and not allow their dead bodies to be put into graves. And those who dwell on the earth will rejoice over them, make merry, and send gifts to one another, because these 2 prophets tormented those who dwell on the earth. Now after the 3.5 days, the breath of life from God entered them, and they stood on their feet, and great fear fell on those who saw them. And they heard a loud voice from heaven saying to them, "Come up here." And they ascended to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies saw them. In the same hour there was a great earthquake, and 1/10 of the city fell in the earthquake. 7,000 people were killed, and the rest were afraid and gave glory to the God of heaven. The second woe is past. Behold, the third woe is coming quickly. I don't have anything that I'm doing. These Instagram lives are an hour long. My plan was to sit and record some music and write some lyrics, but I'm too distracted with all the fucking bullshit. I haven't even slept.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Our coverage continues.
What did it take for me to beat lymphoma? It took an incorrect diagnosis,
Oh, Lord.
a failed stem cell transplant, and one to MD Anderson Cancer Center. It took the brilliant mind to defeat my cancer and trailblaze a path to help thousands more. What will we do with the pursuit of making history? Whatever it
You know what I really want to do? Check this out. I shine for you like the fire. I shine for you. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier within me. For you to not know me. Lavato ceiling. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Don't try to find me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know where I'm going. Don't try to fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Oh Lord. I don't even know if I hit it the right way. Submitted my demo, these rappers alike. Okay? I don't really know what the fuck you complaining for. You trying to save money, I'm trying to menage cake. Lil Mary Kate mixed with Beyonce, sipping Dom Perrier, sun kissing them long legs. Little Mary Kate mixed with Beyonce, sipping Dom Perrier, sun kissing them long legs. fight me, 'cause it's easier for you to not know me. Alright. The Lord bless you out of Zion, and may you see the good of Jerusalem all the days of your life. This is my favorite. And you shall put some of the blood of the horns of the altar which is before the Lord, which is in the tabernacle of meeting, and he shall pour the remaining blood at the base of the altar of burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of meeting. Honor your father and mother, as the Lord your God has commanded you, that your days may be long, and that it may be well with you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, and you shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male servant, his female servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything that is your neighbor's. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them, nor serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, to the third and fourth generations of those who hate me, but showing mercy to thousands, to those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. Observe the Sabbath day to keep it holy, as the Lord your God commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God. In it you shall do no work, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your male servant, nor your female servant, nor your ox, nor your donkey, nor any of your cattle, nor your stranger who is within your gates, that your male servant and your female servant may rest as well as you. And remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there by a mighty hand and by an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. Check this out. I can. Satan, Lucifer, Satan, the devil. The devil, 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 the devil. Satan, 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 Satan. Lucifer, Lucifer. Oh goodness. Awake you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. Therefore take up the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, and having done all to stand. Stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth, having put on the breastplate of righteousness, and having shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, with which you will be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, being watchful to this end, with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints, and for me, that utterance may be given to me, that I may open my mouth boldly to make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains, that in it I may speak boldly as I ought to speak. The gospel. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham begot Isaac, Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot Judah and his brothers. Judah begot Perez and Zerah by Tamar. Perez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Aminadab. Aminadab begot Nashon, and Nashon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz by Rahab. Boaz begot Obed by Ruth. Obed begot Jesse, and Jesse begot David the king. David the king begot Solomon by her who had been the wife of Uriah. Solomon begot Rehoboam. Rehoboam begot Abijah, and Abijah begot Asa. Asa begot Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat begot Joram, and Joram begot Uzziah. Uzziah begot Jotham. Jotham begot Ahaz. Ahaz begot Hezekiah. Hezekiah begot Manasseh. Manasseh begot Ammon, and Ammon begot Josiah. Josiah begot Jesoniah, and his brothers about the time they were carried away to Babylon. And after they were brought to Babylon, Jesoniah begot Shealtiel, and Shealtiel begot Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel begot Abuad. Abuad begot Eliakim. Eliakim begot Azor. Azor begot Zadok. Zadok begot Akim. Akim begot Eliud. Eliud begot Eleazar. Eleazar begot Mathan. And Mathan begot Jacob. And Jacob begot Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who was called Christ. So all the generations from Abraham are 14 generations. From David until the captivity in Babylon are 14 generations. From the captivity in Babylon until the Christ are 14 generations. You know that Adam is the son of that Abraham is the son of Adam? The Gospels have the genealogies in the very first couple chapters of the Gospels, and they're different. The Gospels are 4 different versions. My plan was to be sleeping right now, not to be sitting here fucking around on Instagram, because I need to sleep and being bothered by all this bullshit. You want me to argue with people that are in their fucking 50s? I haven't eaten all day. Ho. Lavato yelling. I haven't had sex in fucking years. You know what it's like to not have sex in years and have all these girls walk around in fucking thong pants? Stupid. I'll fucking punch these bitches. Okay, Luke has the gospel. Circumcision of Jesus, Jesus presented in the temple, Christ born. Cause is it John? Love about those feelings. You want to bring up the Sasha thing? Sasha Grey. The actress from California, the LA girl actress that I haven't ever met in my life. Yet, that I haven't ever met yet, but might meet soon, because she's single and I'm single, and I don't want to deal with any of these fucking lame ass bitches, not to be rude. I got, yesterday morning, when I was getting coffee, some person pulled up to where I was sitting and screamed at me. I'll fuck you up. I'll beat you up. This happens this is 3 or 4 times a fucking day for the last year and a half, and you want me to just be like, oh, yeah, what a wonderful spring. Fuck off. Yo, you want me to bring 50 Cent in the conversation and ask him what he thinks about hip-hop music? I'd rather be making rap music right now, and there's people who are like, oh yeah, no, you shouldn't. You should be working and having a regular job. You want me to bring black-ass 50 Cent into the conversation? Just about that, not about anything else. Just opinion. If I were to say, sir, what is your opinion about me wanting to make rap music right now at 5 p.m. on a Friday? I wrote some bars, but I was too distracted by the police that are trying to fight me, so they could throw me in jail to keep all these girls away from me. And so, technically, this is 5 bars, which isn't even enough. You got a rap song, and you got 5 bars written. There's not anything happening with 5 bars. They're not even anything. Baby, wrap this blanket around your legs, this white sheet, these 5 wands. Let them be clothed with shame, broken. Look at these faces. 2 on top, 5 on the bottom. Stack them like Pringles, pop them like singles, spend them like change. I said I like black girls with checks, V-necks, baby going through the cats. That's maybe 6 bars. And so 16 bars is a verse. You need at least 2 or 3. Okay, I'll read the Bible instead. And then it's like, oh, this guy thinks he's a preacher all of a sudden. What about people that are like in parts of the world that have not ever even been to New York? People who've lived in Florida their entire life and have not ever been to New York. People who live in Texas or California their entire life and have not ever been to New York. Or people who live in like London and England and they've not ever been to New York ever once in their entire life. People who live in Japan and Mexico and Canada and Chicago, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Alaska, Canada. People all over the world who have not ever been to New York even once. Oh, I'd like to go there and visit. It sounds like nice. I can see the Statue of Liberty. And the Empire State Building. Like the percentage of people that have not ever been to New York City once in their entire life and probably won't in the next 5 years. It's a real number. I don't know if we hit an hour yet. How come I can't find the other genealogy in here? What do you want me to do? How would you like me to go about responding to that bullshit? Said I haven't eaten all day and I had sex in fucking years. Being bothered. I've provided clear evidence of a fucking kidnapping, but nobody fucking cares. Apparently kidnapping is just okay. Oh god. Ew, no, I got a bunch of fucking faggot ass wannabe fucking cops. Yo, you put the governor on blast for kidnapping a child, whether or not they did so, you're gonna have a little bit of static from her punk wannabe faggot police officers who think that they're like hardcore army cop, blue flag, support the blue, when in reality you're a fucking criminal and you probably shouldn't be kidnapping people's kids, because that's the wrong side of the fucking blue line, bitch. Entirely opposite. That's a clear line. Standing. If it was like a basketball play, it would be out of bounds completely. Entirely. There'd be no, if it was football, like a football play, oh yeah, no, it's definitely in. It's a first down. It would be like, no, you still got 3 whole fucking yards, and his shoe came off. So it's barefoot. We got crystal clear image. Repeat 4th down. That's what it would really be. For real. For real. I shine like a fire, like the fire for you. I can't even sing. I don't know if I fucking sing or not. You can't contain all this handsomeness. Alright, eventually the world's gonna have questions. I'm looking for me. Live from Pennsylvania, right? Everything smells like campfire because of this fucking fire that happened. Which is good. I'm glad that it fucking did. People need to chill the fuck out. Have something else to focus on. There's a bunch of fucking dumbasses here in Salem. You want a live report from Salem right now? The entire breadth of the city is the size of like a college campus. It's not Portland. If you want to go to Portland, Oregon, you got to drive an hour north. Make it rain with $5. Beep. So fucking bored. My birthday's in 22 days. My mommy bought me a hotel. That's why I'm not sleeping outside in the fucking freezing snow with dumbasses in trucks and American flags and cops speeding past every 15 fucking seconds. Eating McDonald's and Whoppers, flipping me off, trying to fight me. It's just... Anderson Cooper. Let's see what this guy has to say.
Guys, thank you for joining us.
Nice to be with you, Sanjay and Anderson.
We do want to talk about vaccines. We got a lot of viewer questions about this service. I do want to ask also about this event tonight in Michigan, the president's event.
I don't know who this
Vermont
doctor
health
is.
officials
I know
on
the
the
guy
coronavirus task force have been urging people not to have mass gatherings. And you see a lot of people, gathering together, clearly, without masks on, most of them. I just have to ask, sir, what do you think when you see these images of an event like this?
It looks like a fucking parade. It looks like
It
a
just
fucking
deeply
gathering for a
puzzles
speech
me,
or some shit.
Sanjay. How did we get here? Imagine you were an alien who landed on planet Earth, and you saw that our planet was afflicted by an infectious disease, and that masks were an effective way to prevent the spread. And yet when you went around, you saw some people not wearing them and some people wearing them, and you tried to figure out why, and it turned out it was their political party. And you would scratch your head and think, this is just not a planet that has much promise for the future if something that is so straightforward can somehow get twisted into decision-making that really makes no sense. So as a scientist, I'm pretty puzzled and rather disheartened.
Scientists that
The president says,
developed
we're going to have
corona.
vaccines very soon, maybe much sooner than you think. He keeps hinting at this accelerated timeline for that by election day. Is that realistic? I mean, what's your current assessment of a vaccine timeline?
So as the director of the National Institutes of Health, this is my consuming passion and has been since January. And you've talked to my colleague Tony Fauci many times, who is the real expert in the infectious disease area. but I'm learning fast. And let me tell you, we have now 6 vaccines
Okay.
that are either already in phase
Marry
3
one,
trials or will
fuck
be
one,
quite
kill
soon.
one.
Each of those requiring 30,000 participants to be sure we have enough
Sorry.
evidence to decide about safety and efficacy. And it is moving forward at a pace that the world has never seen, but I will say, not in a fashion that allows cutting corners with safety. I want to make that really clear. We sped up this process in a variety of ways, but not to compromise safety. In fact, I would say these trials are more rigorous than almost any that have ever been done for vaccines. Will we be likely to have a result before November 3rd? I think all of us looking at those timetables say that that's really very unlikely.
Oh, God.
But much more likely we'll have a readout on one or more of these, maybe in December, possibly in November, but late October seems beyond the likelihood that most of us can predict when you look at what has to happen between now and then.
You've emphasized this point before, that it's going to be a safe and effective vaccine. You do know that 9 vaccine makers signed a safety pledge this week to uphold, as they said, quote, high ethical standards, suggesting that they're not going to seek premature government approval for COVID-19 vaccines. I thought it was an extraordinary pledge, Dr.
The
Collins. I'm
fucking
just curious what your
homosexuals with
take
the
on it was, because
motorcycles.
it
You're
seems
not,
to be
look,
in
first gear,
reaction
second
to
gear,
this
third gear,
erosion
fourth gear,
of
fifth gear,
trust
you dumb
of the
fucking
FDA
fuck
nowadays.
fight
I mean,
me.
I hate saying it, but that does seem to be what sort of generated this.
I welcome that particular pledge.
Oh, those are police officers that act like that, by the way, because they're gay and they're mad that all these girls think that I'm cute, and if I go over to the fucking glory hole fucking arcade, they're gonna go, oh no, don't be over here, leave, please. Making me all fucking butthurt.
Wait a minute, we are also part of this very complicated ecosystem. We're committed to safety and efficacy. We're not going to push something forward.
Don't go in there and put your wiener in there.
Everybody, look at all the players.
All the
here,
girls are
whether
gonna
it's
want to
FDA,
see what
whether
it
it's
looks
CEOs,
like,
whether
and
it's
then they're not
NIH.
gonna think our
We are
motorcycles
determined
and
that
trucks and
science
cars are
science
cool
alone
anymore.
will be the way in which this decision gets made, and I'm glad they added their voices to that.
There's a new Kaiser Family Foundation poll showing that the majority of Americans, 62%, believe political pressure will cause the FDA to rush a vaccine.
$5.
Can you say anything to reassure people in this country that this process will be focused on science with no political interference? Because, I mean, to Sanjay's point, we have seen the FDA just recently, say there would be no emergency use authorization for the plasma treatment, then reversing themselves after the president threatened them, and then the FDA, the head of the FDA misstating the efficacy of it, and then having to kind of walk it back and apologize.
What do you want about political structures?
Well, I think I can provide some reassurance about all the steps that are involved
A
in this kind of
COVID vaccine in
decision-making.
order to reopen
First of
schools
all,
and have
there is
people.
something called the DSMB, the Data and Safety Monitoring Board, that
We will
watches over
survive.
these vaccine trials. They are the only
For real,
people,
though.
and they're not political
You're not
appointees,
breaking the
they're
human
scientists
spirit. It doesn't
looking at
matter
the
if it's
data.
COVID.
They're the only ones who are watching to see who got the vaccine and who got the placebo and what happened. Nobody else knows. Nobody else is unblinded, just that group. They aren't going to raise their hand and say, hey, it's time to look at this.
You don't
FDA,
see criminals using this as an opportunity to loot and steal and commit more offenses. And you don't see people.
It's not working. Give it up.
You don't
They
see
might raise their
people.
hand and say, there's a problem here, like there was.
You don't see people using this, like people who are on the run, for example, for crimes that they committed and they're on the run in other states. You don't see this like them seeing this as a perfect opportunity. Like, oh great, I don't have to go back over there because there's no political structure there. Or like people who like have debts or something. Like it's an excuse to get a divorce. Schools are all closed, and so like you don't see it as an excuse for like people using it as an excuse. People who do fucked up things using it as an excuse. Like people who are naturally fuckheaded using it as an excuse. For example, the entire like white supremacy political party, because there's a white supremacist Ku Klux Klan political party that exists in the United States that I just became aware of. And they have a belief system of racism. They are using a international problem as a excuse to commit hate crimes. When before this, and besides that, I don't even want to participate in a conversation that's pointless. For all I know, COVID isn't even real because I don't believe half the shit that I hear these people talk about anyways. It's the stupidest conversation that I've ever... I don't know what you want me to say about it. I don't talk about it because it's a stupid thing. I haven't even eaten all fucking day, and I'm fucking exhausted. I haven't slept. I've barely fucking slept. I'm not about to talk about a stupid fucking made-up fairy tale fucking mutated flu virus. Trying to find the genealogy of the good Lord. Helped me achieve sober last 5 years. Not a single sip of the Grey Goose. No Grey Juice. Got these like muscles getting all ripped. No cigarettes. Thanks to the man upstairs. Not over here popping pills, turning up. 5 years is a long time. And those cops are like, oh, we still don't like you. Because if you go over to the damn porn store with the arcade and you stick your wiener in the fucking thing, it's going to piss us off because all the pretty girls are going to see you go over there. It's like, alright, this is a fucking stupid conversation. And they're like, oh, well, we need to take a shift, and because I want to go get trash this weekend. So, okay. If it's been 90 days, if you've had alcohol in the last 90 days, we're not going to see eye to eye on any conversation because I'm pushing like 4,000 days or something. 1,300. What is it, 1,500 days with no alcohol? I'm pushing like 1,500 days with no alcohol. And so if you've had alcohol in the last 30 days, we're not going to see eye to eye. I have not had alcohol in the last 1,700 days. And so if in the last 30 days you've had any alcohol, we're not going to be on the same page as far as mental clarity. Anybody who has had alcohol in the last 30 days, we're not going to be on the same page because in the last 1,500 days, I haven't even had a sip. A cigarette. Anybody who's had a cigarette in the last 30 days. We're not going to be on the same page if we talk for the last 1,000 days. I haven't even had a cigarette. If you've taken any types of like mind-altering substances, pot, medications, antipsychotics, Invega, Zyprexa, Halidol, Adderall, anything, painkillers, anything, in the last 30 days, we're not going to be smoked any pot, any edibles, anything that's like drug or alcohol, or whether it's prescribed or not, in the last 30 days, or 60 days, or 90 days, or 100 days, in the last 100 days, if you have had any of that stuff, we're not going to see on the same page because for the last 1,000 days, I haven't had any of that stuff. So 1,000 days of not having anything like that, I'm looking at things like different. I really need to get some sleep. 1,000 days of not having any of that stuff. No alcohol, no cigarettes. I can Google the exact number. Since September 28th, 2016. To today. Not a single cigarette, not a single prescribed or non-prescribed medication, not a single narcotic of any sort. No ecstasy, no weed, no pot, not one little hit of a joint, nothing. For over 1,000 days. If in the last 100 days you've had any, even alcohol, a drink, a shot, one beer, in the last 100 days, we're not going to see on the same page. because I've decalcified my pineal gland in my mind, and so I'm perceiving things with a little bit more of a clarity from a medical standpoint. And to argue about anything isn't on the same... I'm 29. Do you know how many 29-year-olds don't have any mind-altering substances in their bodies right now in the earth? Not a lot. Society's fucked up. Society is literally about sex. Sex is the most powerful thing in the world. And then, like, consciousness, like separating humans from animals having opposing thumbs in consciousness. Triangle on the back of the dollar bill means what? A secret club of, like, elitists that control the world and have power over everything. They got, like, Planet Fitness tags. They're just like, beep, elitist. You see parking spots, it says, like, handicap, and then, like, store manager, and it's, like, elitist. Illuminati triangle parking spot only. That'd be so cool. Being a criminal, the laws, the rules of men. You want to talk about the rules of men? I'm not in charge here, but there are some disagreements in which I side specifically with certain individuals, and there are some arguments in which I side with other individuals, and so if you're not seeing eye to eye with everybody, then you're not going to try to convince me that I should see eye to eye with you when there's others in the room that are not seeing eye to eye with you. I could bring so many people into the conversation. Vinny Paz. Besides bringing 50 Cent into the conversation, bringing Vinny into the conversation. I could bring my father into the conversation. And Putin into the conversation, and the Prime Minister of Syria. I could bring those two into the conversation. It's the same about not having anything for 1,000 days, and then I could bring into the conversation a random person. I could literally walk from here to the nearest 7-Eleven, and whoever is working the register, bring that person into the conversation and discuss what? Having to wear masks and social distancing? The vision that I had of Taylor Swift and the two girls playing video games or whatever. People have shit that they want to do. People want to hang out with their kids and, like, go to the beach, and this shit is so trash. Apparently I'm singing. I shine for you like a fire, like the fire